In last week's lesson, the Lord told Moses to gather 70 of the elders of Israel together, taking some of the Spirit God had placed on Moses and sharing it among the 70, creating a support system to help Moses bear the needs of the people. As the men gathered and the Spirit fell on them, they began to speak prophecies, but only for a short time. According to verses found later in this chapter, we can conclude this gathering included Moses and 68 other men. But didn't God ask Moses to gather 70 men? Well, two of these leaders, Eldad and Medad, both stayed in the camp instead of gathering, and a portion of the Spirit that had been placed on Moses still fell on them. They began prophesying in the camp, and Joshua approached Moses to shut them down. Moses tells Joshua to leave them alone. And we are left with a great picture that shows our leaders will not be perfect. These men didn't gather when they were supposed to, when they were told by God. Our leaders will not be perfect, but God can still work through our imperfections. I, for one, am grateful to serve a God that is able to work through our imperfections. God causes quail to come up from the sea and begin falling all over the camp. All in all, the quail piles up to around 18 inches above the ground. The people began gathering meat all day and night, with those who gathered the least amount of quail bringing in an equivalent of 220 liters of quail. The food was spread among the people, and they began to eat. Even though God had provided the meat, their cries for meat were a rejection of God and His manna that He was providing. So Numbers tells us that while the meat was still in the mouths of the people, a great plague from the Lord struck the people, and they named that place Kibroth Hattaavah, because this was the place where they buried the people who had craved meat and grumbled against God's provision. Then we see Miriam and Aaron begin speaking out against Moses due to his marriage to a Cushite woman. They begin to wonder what was so special about Moses. Doesn't God speak through them also? And just like when the nation of Israel grumbles, Miriam and Aaron grumbled, and God heard it. God calls Miriam, Moses, and Aaron to the tent of meeting and proceeds to tell the group what He thinks of these statements. God points out that He speaks to many people in dreams and in visions, but with Moses, He speaks mouth to mouth, designating Moses as special. And yet these two had the nerve to speak against God's chosen leader. God strikes Miriam with leprosy, and immediately Miriam and Aaron see the error of their ways. Aaron begs Moses for healing. Moses begs God for healing, but God's judgment persists for 7 days. This means Miriam, who is spreading dissent amongst the people, is forced to live outside the camp in solitude for 7 days. And the journey of the entire nation is stalled for 7 days until she is able to rejoin. Then, in chapter 13, we see the nation has arrived in the wilderness of Paran, and they're close enough to Canaan for the Lord to send spies into the land. 12 spies were called, one from each of the tribes of Israel. Of great note is Hoshua from the tribe of Ephraim. Verse 16 tells us this Hoshua is called Joshua by Moses. Now, the man who has been Moses' assistant ever since Joshua was a youth is being sent into the land with 11 other men to get a first glance at the promised land. And that is where your lesson picks up this week. I hope that you have an amazing week. I pray that God uses this video and uses your study time to truly speak to your class. And if you need anything between now and Sunday, please do not hesitate to reach out and let me know. We'll see you on Sunday.